What's going on, everyone? In this video today, I got my partner Val on here with me, one of the best life insurance producers out there, also the youngest doing the numbers that he's doing right now. He's done over 170,000 in business in the past 90 days, something that people aspire to do in a year. He's been able to do it because of the systems and the processes that we have in place. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. I kind of just want to talk about Val's background, some of the things he did growing up, what his life looked like before getting into insurance. So, Val, where did you grow up? Were you always entrepreneurial or did something like switch in your mind at one point? Tell us about that.
Sure. So I grew up in California. By the way, guys, I'm 19 years old, so very young. But I grew up in California, moved down to Florida a few years ago. I always played tennis very competitively growing up, so I was always traveling, doing online school. I never really went to normal high school, so worked out for the best. And yeah, I was always entrepreneurial. I was put on a very independent path very early on, so that kind of like contributed to my independence and sort of just being put in a position where I have to figure things out on my own, which puts pressure on yourself. So that was one of the biggest things for me is like I was just put in the position where I have so much pressure on myself to succeed that I have no other choice. Um, but yeah, that's kind of it. Always play tennis growing up all day, every day. So doing
Yeah.
something like this where I'm in sales and working off my computer is honestly a blessing. So that's kind of it.
When you first got into insurance, being that, you're younger
Yeah.
compared to most people that are in the industry, did your parents or your friends think anything bad of it, or did they give you some sort of like negativity towards getting
I
into the
mean,
industry?
I think this industry has a very bad stigma around it in general because of the amount of misrepresentation, MLMs, and pyramid schemes there really are. I never really got backlash because I was already doing pretty well, number one. Number two, I have a pretty small circle of friends and, close family members. So I have only good people around me, which was very important in my path, is only having good people around me. I had nobody telling me in the back of my ear, oh, this, that, you're getting into this. But it was not difficult getting into it. I got into it more or less at the same time as Joe, and we were put into horrible systems, low commissions, horrible leads, bad mentorship, everything possible. And we obviously found a way to make it work. And yeah, it wasn't easy, but it's what it takes.
Nope, no, it was not, but we pushed through. So, what was the first thing that you tried, like the first business you got into? And did you do well with it? Did you fail? How many different things did you do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was always doing a lot of e-com, so I was doing drop shipping. I had a couple Amazon businesses, and I was doing pretty well. Like I was making things work. I got into sales. I was buying and selling luxury watches, got into software sales. I made five figures in a month before I even got into insurance, so I was doing just fine. But that kind of contributed to my success when I just started. I was already like so experienced, even from my very young age, to where I knew if I was going to get into something, I was going to make it no matter what. And that delusional confidence is really what it takes, especially being somebody who's young, didn't go to college, who's not going to the traditional path. You just have to be so delusionally optimistic about what you're doing and trust yourself at the end of the day. Definitely.
Yep. So, like, how old were you when you made your first, say, 10,000 in a month?
17. I was,
17.
yeah, I was not even 18 years old, but yeah, I
Yeah.
got my insurance license the day I turned 18, and I've been doing that ever since. So, and it didn't
Yep.
start like very quick right away. I was doing it part-time. I was trying to make it work, and I kind of made the leap because of the amount of freedom I had with it. Nobody's here to micromanage you, and you kind of work on your own time, and it's your own business at the end of the day. So I kind of made that leap because I knew everything was in my control. That's the most important thing at the end of the day. It's in your control, you know?
Yep. Absolutely. So, for people that don't really know,
Yeah,
explain what we do exactly, how money comes in, what the
sure.
whole sales process is like. Give us a brief overview.
Sure. So I mean, it's very simple. A lot of people hear about insurance and selling life insurance. We sell life insurance, very easy. It's over the phone. The reality is like most people aren't cut out for it because they just can't handle rejection. But if you can handle rejection, you can speak well. It's really pretty simple. We just talk to people on the phone, people who already opt into life insurance. We talk to them, we build trust and value with them, and we build a relationship with them. And in a 25, 30-minute phone call, we can make anywhere from like 500 to $3,000 in one phone call. So it's not always easy because it doesn't come overnight and you can have a bad day, you can have a bad week. but it's not like a super high skill industry. So if you're working hard, it's not that difficult to make decent money. Obviously, that's subjective, but essentially we sell insurance over the phone. It's super simple. We don't cold call. That's kind of it. Really
Yeah.
simple.
I mean, I'm sure you would agree. To a certain extent, you can make more money, obviously, as you get better at sales.
Yeah,
But truthfully, like in this industry, the more input you do, that's what's going to get make you more money.
yeah,
Eventually, your sales skill will cap out at a certain point, right? And then, from there, it really is all just inputs and scaling the business, duplicating success across other people if that's what you want to do. Or,
for sure.
that's what our where our
And,
heads
and
are
I
at.
think like once you get into more advanced products, you start with by selling basic insurance, you get into more retirement stuff, cash value sort of life insurance. You can sort of become almost like a low tier financial advisor. Yes, that becomes a little bit more difficult and it's a higher skill cap. But to sell basic insurance and make 10, 20, 30K a month, it's really all up to how hard you work, really. If you work, we have guys getting deals at 2 a.m. Not saying everybody needs to do that, but if you want to make good money, it's up to you. You can be getting deals at 2 a.m. and making 1,000, 2,000 at 2 a.m. if that's up to you, because you can call Alaska, Hawaii, etc. We're over here in Florida, Eastern time. So it's really all up to you, but it's not that high skill at the end of the day. It's all about inputs.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, so what goes into writing over 170,000 in 90 days? Some people just see the numbers, they think it's
Yeah.
luck, but they don't actually know what goes into it. So break that down.
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, as I mentioned before, is just like delusional confidence is setting a standard for yourself. If you set a certain standard for yourself and you know you're going to hit it no matter what it takes, you're just going to end up doing it. It's all mental. I mean, it's just outworking everybody. And number three obviously takes time to get there. Obviously, my skill is so much higher than somebody who just started out in the industry just because the amount of hours I've put into it. And it also takes investing in yourself. It's a very lead-based industry. You can either you can really pay in two ways to make sales. You can either pay with your time and get a low lead cost, or you can pay more money for leads and be more efficient. So it put both of those together and you can be very efficient and very profitable. So it really comes down to investing in yourself, being delusionally confident, and outworking everybody, and just being obsessed about it. So that's really all it takes, you know.
Absolutely. If people are thinking about getting into the insurance industry, how important are having good systems and processes?
I think it's the most important thing. I think this industry is so big and it's so black and white. You can be making 30K a month, 2 months into the industry in a good system, and you can be making 2K a month in a pyramid scheme with no room to grow. So I think systems and being in a good place is the most important thing. But most importantly, surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are actually doing it themselves. I think that's the most important thing. Systems are everything. If you don't have a good system in place, you don't have good people around you, you're not going to make it. That's just the reality.
What's been the biggest mistake that you've made being in the insurance industry? Maybe you thought the grass was greener at one point somewhere else. Tell us a couple of the mistakes you've made, how you've overcame them.
I think I always talk about this with people who are young. I'm not always a big advocate for giving people like specific life or financial advice because everybody's so much different. Your situation is not my situation, vice versa. But I think the biggest mistake I see younger people making in the business world, and we went through that ourselves too. We live and we learn. But it's not being able to stick to something for long enough to really give themselves a chance to make it. They hop around from opportunity to opportunity, from agency to agency, and they can't put their head down and work and just see the long-term vision. Everybody is so attached to the immediate outcome and they are not so focused on the immediate inputs. So that's like the biggest mistake I see people make, and everybody falls victim to it. I did, you did, everybody does. They're not able to hold themselves to something for long enough. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they,
sure.
they think they want the work, but they have no idea what goes into it, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like everybody wants to make a lot of money. Everybody wants to make 20, 30, 50K a month. But once you start making that money, it's not all glamorous. It takes a lot of work and it's crazy. You have to be a little bit crazy, obviously, to work as much as we do. And it's not all glamorous like that, but that's what it takes. I always
Yep.
like to tell people like, yes, it's hard to make a lot of money and grind your ass off and not see immediate results, delay gratification. It's hard, but it's also hard to be broke and live paycheck to paycheck. So it's like choose your hard. I'd rather have this life and be able to do whatever I want in a year or two because I can, or tomorrow go to Hawaii because I can, right? So it's kind of like choose your hard. Both
Yep.
things are hard. So
Yeah, I love that. So now what does nobody tell you about making this kind of money young? Because not many people are making the kind of money that we're making at this age, especially you. You're younger than I am. I'm 24. What goes on behind the scenes that people don't talk about?
I mean, it's honestly just like the amount of work that goes into it without really seeing immediate outcomes. That's the biggest thing. It's like when you're making the money we're making, you don't even have time to think about how you're going to spend it. Everybody wants to buy this and that and go on this. When you're making this kind of money, like the effort that goes into it, you don't even have time to think about other things. So people just don't realize what it takes. They think they can start making money and take their foot off their gas, but that's like how you die. And also like another thing people don't tell you is like it's very easy to get complacent. Complacency is natural. So that's one of the, I think, the biggest things people struggle with when they do start making good money. And a lot of people fall victim to that for sure. So it's definitely
Yep. You're either growing or dying, or as we like to say, scale or die.
scale or die. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the only way.
So what would you tell an 18 to 24-year-old starting from zero today in insurance?
I mean, my advice would be like drop everything you have and just trust yourself to make it. Because if you're in an opportunity where your inputs equal your outputs, relatively speaking, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be the day after. But if you're in a system where if you work 10, 15 hours a day, you're going to make 10 to 20 grand a month, you have to drop everything you're doing and be so delusionally confident in yourself. And I think that's what it takes is you have to be delusionally confident in yourself. So you have to have a little bit of a superiority complex. As arrogant as that sounds, you do. I think all successful people have it, especially people who run their own businesses and the money they make is up to them. You got to have a little bit of a superiority complex and just know that you're meant to make a lot of money. You're going to do whatever it takes because you trust yourself. So
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing I would say is just trust yourself with every decision you make and don't doubt yourself at any point for sure. I think the biggest thing, especially for younger people, is everybody's so corporate minded now, which is not a bad thing necessarily, but everybody's skeptical, which is normal. It's like pyramid scheme and chargebacks and this and that. It's like there's people making money at the end of the day. So I think everybody just needs to open their mind up a little bit more. And while there are very bad systems out there and very bad people in this industry, I think everybody needs to be a little more open-minded to like, I can actually do this. It's not a scam. Let me actually try and see it for myself. And I like to be a good proof of concept for people coming into the industry who are younger because at 19, the money I'm able to make from this industry proves it's not a pyramid scheme. If I'm at the top when I'm 19, anybody can do it at the end of the day. It's not rocket science. So that's one thing I would tell people is just be a little bit more open-minded. Understand it's possible, comprehend it.
Over 170K submitted in 90 days. Pretty crazy.
And guys, like a lot of, if you're already in insurance and watching this, like a lot of people who submit a lot of business, there's people who submit 60, 80, 100K a month in business, but their lead cost is super, super high. I think out of the 170K in business I maybe spent 5 to 10K on leads max. So the lead cost is not very high. I'm like, my thing is being as profitable as possible, making sure the agents are as profitable as possible. Because at the end of the day, if you're not making money, then what are we doing? So that's kind of it.
Sweet.
Yeah,
All right. Cool, guys. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you for coming on and talking, Val.
yeah.
Thought it was a good one today. If you guys are interested in getting into the industry, maybe you just want a brief overview, you want us to show you what it's all about, I'll leave something in the description down here for you guys to get in contact with us, and I'd be happy to guide you in the right direction. But stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.
You guys.